Picture this, a bustling 19th century America, where the air hums with the promise of fortune and the ground beneath pulses with untapped wealth. In the midst of this era of innovation and grit, one man would rise to command an empire that reshaped industries and challenged the very notion of fair play. But how did a young boy from humble roots become the architect of one of history's most notorious business dominions? Let's journey back to uncover the riveting tale of ambition, strategy, and controversy. Born in the quiet town of Richford, New York in 1839, John D. Rockefeller grew up in modest circumstances. From an early age, he showed a knack for enterprise, peddling sweets to neighbors and even extending small loans to those around him. By 16, he landed his first job as a bookkeeper, earning a mere 50 cents a day. Yet, these simple beginnings were the sparks that would ignite a colossal fire. Fast forward to 1859, amid the oil rush sweeping the nation. Rockefeller teamed up with Maurice B. Clark to launch a wholesale venture, soon expanding into oil refining by bringing Samuel Andrews into the fold. As the thirst for oil grew insatiable, powering lamps, machines, and dreams, Rockefeller spotted his chance. He borrowed funds to buy out the refinery from his partners, then snapped up and constructed more facilities. By 1870, alongside his brother, he founded the Standard Oil Company in Ohio. What started as a single operation was about to swallow the industry whole. Now, imagine the oil fields of Ohio and Pennsylvania, rigs pumping black gold from the earth, refineries churning day and night. But in this cutthroat world, Rockefeller didn't just compete, he dominated. Through a series of calculated moves, Standard Oil refined about 90% of the nation's oil by around 1880. It oversaw every step, from extraction to distribution, dictating product quality and prices across America. Rockefeller's grip was ironclad, influencing markets far and wide. In 1890, he stepped down as president, passing the reins to Theodore, whose leadership would spark antitrust battles that ultimately splintered the giant into smaller entities. At the heart of this dominance lay a concept as old as trade itself: monopoly. Derived from Greek roots meaning alone or single, it describes a market where one entity reigns supreme as the sole provider of a good, with no real rivals or substitutes. This power lets the monopolist manipulate supply and demand, often slashing output to inflate prices and boost profits. Standard Oil embodied this, and Rockefeller's path to it involved tactics that pushed ethical boundaries to the brink. Consider the price wars that scorched the competition. Rockefeller slashed oil and product costs dramatically, but temporarily, undercutting rivals who hadn't braced for such a plunge. Unable to match these lows, many folded or shifted to other trades. Those clinging on often sold out to Standard Oil. While economic theory warns that rock-bottom prices can erode profits and doom a business, Rockefeller played the long game, sacrificing short-term gains to cement his stronghold. Between 1880 and 1890, raw oil refining costs dipped by just 1 cent, but refined oil plummeted by 26 cents per gallon. This wasn't about immediate riches, it was about clearing the field. These price drops didn't stop at home. To rival Russian oil in Europe and Asia, Rockefeller subsidized overseas rates and even distributed freebies to build loyalty. He shipped kerosene lamps to remote corners of the world, demonstrating their use and hooking new markets on his supply. The result? A global network of customers, loyal and vast, funneling demand straight to Standard Oil. But dominance required control over logistics too. Envision wooden barrels stacked high in warehouses, essential for transporting the precious liquid. Rockefeller cornered the market on barrel components, starving competitors of the means to ship their oil. Raw crude sat useless without refinement and delivery. Seizing the initiative, Standard Oil began manufacturing its own barrels, selling them at cut rates, $1.5 each, compared to outsiders' $2.5. That dollar difference lured buyers en masse, bolstering Standard's monopoly. Transportation was another battlefield. Railroads crisscrossed the land, vital arteries for moving goods. Standard Oil's prestige opened doors to clandestine deals, securing rebates that slashed shipping fees. Competitors paid full freight, putting them at a disadvantage. Rockefeller sweetened these pacts by guaranteeing railroads steady loads, 60 carloads of oil daily, prioritizing his shipments over others. He even built loading facilities beside tracks, leased tank cars, and shouldered risks on railroad property. This edge crippled rivals like those in Pittsburgh, who received no such favors. The intrigue deepened with covert acquisitions. Borrowing heavily, Rockefeller quietly purchased competing refineries, then dispatched their former staff to spy on remaining foes. Armed with insider intel on pricing strategies, he preempted threats. If a rival planned a discount, he'd undercut them further. Some absorbed firms' leaders were lured away with lavish salaries, instructed to idle production and maintain only bare-bones operations. By these means, Standard Oil claimed 90% of refining capacity. Secrecy amplified his reach. Rockefeller acquired major players without rebranding them under Standard Oil. Take Creek Oil in Pennsylvania, bought out but kept under its original name. Employees from both collaborated seamlessly, and anti-standard consumers unwittingly bought from the empire, boosting sales under the guise of independence. Expanding tentacles, Rockefeller spawned or acquired firms dealing in oil adjuncts, like pipelines and engineering outfits. These operated as if autonomous, but funneled rebates back to Standard. In 1879, he unveiled an oil pipeline company, swiftly becoming the transport kingpin. When Tidewater Pipeline emerged as a challenger, Rockefeller blocked their construction by securing exclusive rights to key land. Forced into compromise, Tidewater ceded 88.5% of operations to Standard, retaining just 11.5%. Alliances grew shadowy. Standard Oil forged hidden ties with the South Improvement Company, which orchestrated secret cartels granting rebates while hiking rates for outsiders. In return, South provided intel on competitors' pricing, allowing Rockefeller to adjust and undermine. Standard even shipped barrels via its own railroad lines at a 40-cent discount per unit. As whispers of these schemes spread, Rockefeller had already absorbed 22 of 26 Cleveland competitors. When persuasion failed, darker methods surfaced. European rival Ida Tarbell exposed Standard's predatory impacts through writings. Sensing the threat, Rockefeller attempted alliances, but upon rejection, he unleashed sabotage. Thugs torched or demolished her pumps and wells. Such ruthlessness preserved his throne. By February, Rockefeller's fortune stood at $663.4 billion, amassed through oil ventures. He helmed Standard Oil for 27 years until retiring in 1897. Beyond business, he founded institutions like the University of Chicago and Spelman College, and bolstered Harvard, Yale, and Columbia. His Rockefeller Institute advanced medical research, and his education board broadened learning access. Philanthropy defined his later years, donating generously. Rockefeller's monopoly, forged through cunning and controversy, left an indelible mark. He revolutionized industry, but at what cost to competition and ethics? Yet, his charitable legacy endures, reminding us that even titans of ambition can channel fortunes toward the greater good. As the credits roll on this epic of oil and power, one question lingers. In our modern world of giants, what lessons from the past will shape tomorrow's empires?